Hey guys, welcome back to Long Story Short. I am so excited to be here. I hope you guys are too. I got so much cool stuff to tell you guys. Man, it feels so great doing this again. So a few updates. Let's talk about our hockey team, the Utah Mammoth. We finally have an official team name. It feels so cool calling it the Mammoth. I know the voting for it has been going on for like more than a year from the info that I've heard. And it finally came to a good conclusion that we're now being called the Mammoth, officially starting as in right now. I know there was also a big report on one called the Utah Outlaws or the Utah Blizzards or, stuff like that. And a few people told me, why were we not called the Utah Yeti? The Yeti, I'm not going to lie, was a really cool idea. It has a really good ring to the tongue. But of course, the Yeti Cooler brand wasn't really happy about it. So they were going to threaten suing over copywriting or something like that. So we couldn't go with that. And I remember posting on Facebook one time, I was like, well, it's best if we don't go with the Blizzard idea either, because Dairy Queen isn't going to be happy about that either. That surprisingly got a really good chuckle out of the crowd. Well, at least I hope it did. But again, I am super happy to be with you guys. I have a couple announcements to make. Raj, my buddy, who helped start this podcast within our first few videos, he is no longer with us. He is moving on to tying the knot. And honestly, I wish him the very best. I want to thank him for being a part of this podcast. And he wants to thank you guys too for helping us with the support and watching our videos, saying really cool comments. He says he will miss doing this, and Raj, we will miss you too. So, best wishes, buddy. Take care. With other updates, culinary school has been going really well. I'm about 50% done with my whole program. The other day, I learned hot smoking and cold smoking, to those who know what it is. I'll tell more details about that in a little bit. But just learning new recipes on how to cook food and how to taste food when you're cooking in different methods, it really opens your eyes. And the biggest bonus about it, you don't have to go out to eat a lot. You could save so much money in buying groceries, and you know how to cook it the way how you like it. That's just beyond awesome. I actually did cook some foods today. I cooked really good roast beef sliders with caramelized onions and with a few good cheeses as well. What I did for a garnishment, I played with some spices and I found the right one. Absolutely pristine. I loved it. But for other ideas why I would love to do the podcast, I could post you guys pictures on the foods that I made. Maybe I might get the TikTok app, play with that a little bit, see what I could do for business-wise. And when I graduate from the program, what I would like to do for the business is maybe go for a private chef first, start off with a couple of dishes, and just gradually get higher and higher to help me explore in the chef world versus jumping into it, Never hurts to start off small. But also with other updates, I really wanted to thank Aaron and Tony for helping me out within the past couple months to help keep this podcast going too. They've been giving me really awesome ideas and really amazing ways to help keep going, especially during the very hard times. In fact, speaking of Aaron and Tony, they are here with us today, joining in another collaboration video. So welcome on, guys.
Hey.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Looks like Tony's still...
So, first off, I have to say,
there
you should definitely do the TikTok thing. TikTok, I could see you getting a lot of traction on TikTok. People, you could even make people hungry at that point where there's like, we want to know how you do this. So, it's always a good thing. What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, I absolutely think that's a good idea. Some of my favorite things that I follow on TikTok is actually food videos. There's this guy who only cooks really ancient recipes, and I can't get enough of it.
Dude,
I'm a fat kid at heart, so food is like my kryptonite, to be quite honest with you. So
that's awesome. But yeah, with that TikTok thing, it never hurts to look into it. for ideas.
Always try. One of my YouTube mentor, Sean Cannell, he's the owner of Think Media. Very profitable guy. They do a lot of good reviews and give tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff. He's always said to us that took his course, like, don't limit yourself to one platform. Be on multiple platforms that lead people back to your YouTube channel. So like he's like, post on Instagram, post on TikTok, post on all these other social media sites, so that they can all lead your potential audience back to your YouTube channel. He's like, you got to play all ends against the middle. So,
gotcha. In fact, Tony, why don't I give our viewers a little bit of a sneak peek what I did in some more of the ingredients up for those roast beef sliders?
Sure.
So, everyone, what I literally did today was, I unfortunately wasn't able to get it on video, but next time I can. So for the sliders, I got me some rolls, cut them in half to make them that beautiful sandwich form. But with the roast beef, I got Angus roast beef sliced from the deli. And then I did 2 types of cheese. I did provolone and Havarti with jalapeno. And let's see here. I did caramelized onions, giving that good saute, beautiful feeling. Used a couple secret ingredients in there, but won't tell you guys that part. but I will tell you the garnishment that I did on top of the rolls. I used honey jalapeno seasoning, and oh my gosh, guys, it was beautiful. How long do you think it took me to make those? If you two wanted to take a guess,
I would say probably about an hour and a half.
Okay, 1 hour and 30 minutes from Killdeer. Okay.
Let's see here. Should I be sarcastic or should I be truthful?
If I were to run this, if I were to do this as an appetizer for you two,
I'd say about an hour and a half.
Less than 30 minutes, including
what?
baking time.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, because like literally to caramelize onions, 10 minutes is about the average for them to start turning into that brown color. Some people like to saute them longer or shorter. But to bake them, it only took 15 minutes to bake them. So yeah, about less than a half hour for everything together.
Not bad.
But yeah, like literally, as soon as you learn culinary school, you see food in a whole different way. And yeah, people are just blown away by it.
So Justin, I'm not saying like I'm a great cook. I'm not saying that I am like this phenomenal cook. Like I'm no Gordon Ramesy. Like Justin
you are.
Right here. He's the next Gordon Ramsay. I can picture him in the future saying like, with 2 pieces of bread and if I can talk, on people's sides of the face saying, "What are you? You're an idiot sandwich."
Donkey.
Maybe
I think I got it
around a little so you don't get a copy infringement from him. But what I was going to say, and I'm sure Aaron has a lot to say about his cooking skills as well, because he's become quite the cook. One of my favorite dishes that I know how to cook, and whenever I bring this up, I kid you not, my mom, she didn't request it this year for Mother's Day, but for like at least 2 or 3 Mother's Days in the past like 5 years, she requested me to make this one recipe. It was from the Roof Restaurants, the Roof Restaurant in Salt Lake City, Utah. Pineapple glazed barbecue ribs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And if you do this right, if you do it right, this just turns out to be amazing. And
sorry, go on.
And the greatest part about it is that you always have enough glaze left over so you can use it on other pieces of meat like throughout the week. That's the coolest part. And
that
so
really cool.
when I've like the first year I made it for my mom, it was 2016. It was Mother's Day, and I asked her, I'm like, "Do you want this for Mother's Day?" And she's like, 100% yes, because my mom is a very big pineapple fiend. Like she's crazy about pineapple. And so I got a good rack of ribs. I'd made the garnish. I made everything. And this tasted amazing.
Oh,
I
bet it did.
And then, so Aaron, what kind of stuff have you cooked?
Probably the most recent dish that I made. Again, I actually pulled it off that recipe from the guy that cooks really old stuff. And I found this recipe. It's for a roast, but the whole roast is like cooked with parsnips, and then it's cooked with like carrots, and you start like making the broth, and then outside of it you crack, I think it's 6 eggs, and you whip it up, and then you pour white wine vinegar into it, and then you whip the egg yolk into that with the white wine, and then you start pouring it on top, and then it takes 16 cloves of garlic is what the recipe calls for, and then we let it cook for, I think it was about 4.5 hours on really low. And I was really worried because like this dish was actually like invented when like the actual Dracula, like Vlad Tepes, was like key. And I was like, how is this gonna work out? But it actually turned out to be like one of the best roasts that we've ever had. It was crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was insane.
Let's see here. My only question with cooking, I got one story for this that didn't happen to me, but it happened to a family member of mine. But I'll start off with you two first. Was there a time when you guys cooked where it backfired?
100%. 100%.
Trial and error.
I
right,
cannot
Tony.
tell you how many times I actually have on my Instagram page where my family, we were boiling eggs. It's on my, you know how on Instagram you have those feature stories that people can look at, and it's called When Eggs Explode. And so what happened? So this is a true story. This is what happened.
Okay.
We were
boiling
some eggs because we were gonna make some. Like some kind of like, I think it was gonna be like oh my gosh, I'm just drawing a blank. Tuna fish salad or something like that required eggs. And we were living in Clearfield, Utah at the time, and we put the pan with the eggs and water. We forgot about it. And all of a sudden we started smelling this burning sensation in the kitchen. But all of a sudden we started hearing this popping. And sure enough, the eggs exploded. And you would think that we would have learned once. Twice. How long it took us, my family, to learn how bad that was. So this is my PSA. Make sure you stay with your cooking, in the kitchen when you're cooking, because
never leave it unattended.
Burned eggs that have exploded are not fun.
Oh no,
the smell!
I'm not sure they're not.
I can smell it through the screen.
Oh wow. Okay, how about you, Killdeer?
So this actually happened recently. It wasn't. I won't take full blame, but I was so excited because like I have a couple of seasonings that I just really really like. One of them is from Kinder. They have like a hardwood fire cooked garlic seasoning. Really good. And so I like grabbed some chicken thighs and I just doused it in that stuff with some oil, let it marinate for a couple hours. And then I did the same thing, but it's alpine salt, which is, I think it's garlic and onion powder. And then they put in black pepper into it. Ooh. Did the same thing. And so I was like so excited, and like I remember I was also doing just like some quick rice, you know, like chicken and broccoli rice from like, you know, Rice-A-Roni.
Frozen food section.
No, like the Rice-A-Roni boxes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So like I was trying to get everything timed up, and like I was like grilling this chicken. And I was so excited because like the chicken was like getting to the point where like the skin was turning like that nice golden brown, and I started like put it on low so it gets nice and tender. And I had to go in to check the rice. Next thing I know, I'm like sitting there, you know, stirring the rice, and I look over to the grill, and the entire grill is on fire. And so I'm like sitting there, I'm like, no! So I ran out there and I'm like trying to put it out, whatever. And then the sad part was like, after seeing that golden, juicy chicken, all of it was charred. I was able to save like 8 pieces, and I just baked them for the rest of the time. But like, it was not growing up anymore. It was like starting to grow down and like onto my wooden deck. That's just like,
oh my gosh,
my goodness.
That's
so,
beautiful.
I don't even know how it happened still. Like, I don't know if like some fat fell from like some of the meat and like caught fire, grease fire from like the burgers the couple days back. I don't really know. It just
like anything goes when it comes to those grills. Let's see here. For me, I got
crazy.
plenty of stories where cooking backfired, obviously being in culinary school. Let's see here. I got a quick one with my family, and I got a quick one with a friend. So for family, I was living with my dad at the time. There are some recipes where you should just leave alone. And of course, I know you guys maybe like, let's see here. Around Christmas time, do you guys do like the traditional Christmas ham or...
Yeah, we do the ham.
Okay, so when it was just me and my dad, after when all of our family members came for a visit, my dad wanted to try something, and I was like, okay, it can't be that bad. What he decided to do wasn't as grand as we thought it was. It didn't explode. It didn't drop to the floor, and thank goodness to the Almighty, it was all the way cooked. He decided to combine every Christmas ham tradition in one dish. He put the brown sugar in there. He put the pineapple in there. He put the other techniques in there. It was like an advertisement of a rotten burger from a Carl's Jr. ad.
I remember the movie The Christmas Story.
I remember scooping into that hotel pan. It was like a... And then I only took like 3 bites out of it, and I was like, look, Dad, I give you guts for at least trying that, but it's best if we don't do that anymore. I unfortunately didn't take a picture of it. Like it happened like at least 5 or 6 years ago.
Jeez.
With a friend. Raj, I am so sorry. This actually happened with me and Raj. So every time when I go up to Raj's place, we like to use his grill and like to do our cooking. We had steaks that we wanted to do for a steak barbecue. We get New York ribeyes. So yeah, me and him really wanted to celebrate, and it was a really beautiful sunny day. This was actually last summer. So of course, here I was so exhausted from work. I just put my feet up and I got all the other stuff ready. And next thing I know, I see Raj running into the house. Just like running into the house. I thought something was wrong. And I just go, "Are you okay, dude?" And he goes, yeah, I gotta talk to my girlfriend. He just vanishes, like just disappears out of sight. And then so when I was about to close the door, I had a weird prompting that I should go check on the grill. Now, he did turn the grill on, and then I was the one who put the steaks on there. So it's been about roughly 5 to 10 minutes now since they were cooking. I saw the temperature. It was at over 600. I opened the door, but I took a deep breath and took a step back, and smoke just comes. And the poor steaks, Aaron, imagine about this thick of burntness. So
it's a hockey puck.
So here I was trying to save all the steaks, because of course the stakes were high.
Yeah, the steaks.
But literally, what I did, it was like the coolest thing ever. I was able to save them.
Nice.
So what I did was, I got the steak knives that Raj had. I filleted off of the burnt marks, and the steaks happened to be like maybe cooked at about almost a medium well. So thankfully they were not all the way gone.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, I threw away like a plate full of burnt stuff on there. And what made it so freaking funny afterwards was when me and Raj took a bite, Raj just goes, "Oh, I still like my steaks all the way cooked, and they're still pink in there." And I just go, bro, you're the one who left the grill. You should have just tapped me on the shoulder and just go, "Hey, Justin, can you go watch the steaks for a second?"
So here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You like steaks?
Yep, I do like steaks.
What's your favorite cook on a steak? Are you like a medium rare guy? Are you a medium guy?
I have an interesting story about that. Growing up, I used to be a well done. However, I was introduced to mediums. When I tried a medium, it was at Golden Corral Buffet in Ogden.
Yeah.
But it was fresh cooked off of the grill. So I talked to the cook over there, and that's where he was like, "Oh no, my friend, you got to try mediums." And I fell in love.
So you're a medium guy.
Medium. I don't mind eating rare though as well.
Tell me what about you? Are you?
I'm a medium rare guy. I when it's just too red, I can't do it. Justin, Aaron, and I, we both worked at this grocery store over in Davis County on the east side, and they used to have this thing called savory selections, like where they would like sample like foods and give people tips and tricks on recipes. There was one day when they were showing people how to, grill steaks, like because some people just don't know how to grill steaks, like that's just how it is. And the operations manager's like, I like my steak rare. The redder, the better. And there's something like that. I was like, that, and I just was like horrified. I was like,
it's not for everyone.
That's awesome. I'm a rare guy. Like nice, medium rare is like as high as I go. But a lot of times I do that thing where you get the pan super hot, you lay it, and you get it both sides just like brown, and then you just pull it off. It takes me like 3 to 5 minutes to cook a steak, just high sear.
Yep. Make sure you pan sear it really good. One of my instructors at the school that I'm going to, he's a rare guy himself. I had to cook him a steak for one of the projects. What I got to do though for that project was he had a big chunk of meat of where the steaks get cut out, and I cut him a steak that thick out of it and cooked it a rare for him, and he loved it.
Very good.
And the scariest thing that he said to me to help me pass off the assignment, he said this: there is no such thing as a perfect steak. And that's where I was like, really, how come? He goes, for example, I like rare, you like medium rare. You have people who like well dones, you got people who like medium wells.
People like their jerky steak.
I always call those hockey pucks.
But here's another. This happened to me. Here's 2 little quick stories for you.
Go for it.
When I was in junior high in Davis County, Utah, I was, I was a punk, like 7th grader. I think that's like the age of like 12, 13. Very punk, immature. Thought I knew everything there was to know, but I didn't, obviously. But me and my best friend at the time, obviously it's not my best friend anymore because my best friend is right there, Killdeer. We both were like, yeah, let's get these chicken sandwiches from the school. Like, because they looked really good. They almost looked to us. They looked like Chick-fil-A sandwiches, basically.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We start biting into them, and they're pink. And and at the time, like, this is probably going to carbon date me a little bit. At the time, I think lunch was like $1.30 or something. But like, your parents are paying for this money, and they're paying for this food for you so you don't starve. And it was pink. And so that was a Thursday night, and then I went to this swimming thing that I had to do that night, and my legs started hurting, and my stomach started hurting afterwards. And so, my mom, who was a school teacher for another school district, she was off track at the time. Like, I come home from that swimming activity, and she's like, and I tell her like how I'm feeling I don't feel good. And so she's like, well, what did you eat today? Like, that could have caused that. And I start listing off, and I go into detail about this chicken sandwich. She's like, it was pink? I'm like, it was pink. And so the next morning, she's like, yeah, well, I'm going to keep you home tomorrow because I don't want you to be sick and throw up at school. And so the next morning, when she called me in for school for being sick, she's like, I want to talk to the cafeteria manager or whoever's in charge of the cafeteria. So they're like, all right. And then so they get her to that cafeteria person, and she's like, my son and his friend ate your chicken sandwiches yesterday, and they were pink. And you know what the head lunch lady said? That's a seasoning that we use. And I thought in my mind, like, even as a seventh grader, I'm like, that's a lie. Like, that's a total lie. And then the other really disgusting video, and I hope no one's watching this while they eat because I don't want you to ruin your appetite.
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about.
I worked at McDonald's, and when I worked at McDonald's, I'm obviously very observant of things that are going on, like behind the scenes and out in the general like sitting area. We had a guy that he was one of our cooks. He had a cut on his hand, and he had it gauzed up and everything, and he was wearing 2 gloves, and he was still wrapping sandwiches at that point. And I saw my mind like, I don't want my sandwich ever being wrapped from this guy. And then another, I mean, all 3 of us, we're not coffee drinkers. We're not coffee drinkers, you know, like the smell of coffee makes me nauseous, to be quite honest with you. I was working the morning shift before I went to school, before I went to my college classes. I was busy like, you know, putting in some of the little hash browns that McDonald's you know, they cook in the morning. And so this other guy, he took the order for me. He's like, you know, hi, what can I make for you? And this person comes through and says, I want a large coffee, 10 cream, 10 sugar.
That's a lot. That's crazy.
And my jaw dropped. And so he's like, you know, he tells him his total and everything. And then after he turned off his microphone, he's like, do you want some diabetes with that coffee? But yeah, I've seen some horror things working
10
in
cream and 10 sugar. Holy cow.
That's a lot.
Like,
I won't say some of the stuff I've said, some of the stuff I've witnessed, but it really especially Justin, now that you are in culinary school, I'm sure that you notice this kind of stuff. Like even when you go into the grocery store, when people try to put my meat with cleaner, I'm like, can you not put my meat with cleaner, please? Like, I would rather not my meat taste like cleaner.
Yeah, like the really cool thing about the school that I'm going to, a good chunk of our instructors, I know at least one of them is from here, but I think a second one is as well. They come from San Francisco. And like they know their stuff really, really well. I remember we had this one student who was really struggling on cooking a dish. I couldn't remember what it was because what a lot of people don't know is Utah is one of the most strict states on having a food handler's permit. It's a state where they take restaurants really seriously. And with my main job being a facility manager, what got me into culinary, some people asked me saying, well, why are you doing this job? And you want to do this one as a hobby. And one of the coolest things that I learned is you have to learn how to clean before you learn how to cook. So for example, you guys could know all the cool dishes in the world, but if your restaurant isn't clean,
yeah, that makes sense. It's all contaminated.
Exactly. So in other words, about 5 minutes later, but darn Tony, that freaking sucks about that chicken sandwich.
Yeah, it was nasty.
Darn, I'm so sorry about that. Oh man, holy cow!
And you were right when you said that Utah is pretty strict on that kind of stuff. Like they're even strict on like if you work in a grocery store and you work in a bakery, like you have to have your food handlers permits up to date, and if you don't, the store will get fined.
Oh yeah,
we'll get it's not just like a little fine; it's like hundreds of dollars.
Oh yeah.
And then just one thing I didn't know is that like even if you work in like a grocery store and you work in the produce department, you have to have a food handler's permit because you're handling fresh fruit, you're handling fresh vegetables, and so again, whenever the food health and safety people come around, they just do surprise visits. They like to catch people off guard, and so
that's a very smart thing.
And so and that McDonald's I worked at. We had from the time I worked there, they had the food and health safety department called on them at least 2 or 3 times because people were getting sick off their food.
That was actually the reason why I just never wanted to eat at Chipotle for like the longest time, because like Chipotle has been tagged so many times with like health violations. It's like
the Chipotle I went to wasn't bad, but I've only been there like maybe once or twice, and that was it.
The one that we have here is actually pretty good, though.
Okay.
Not gonna lie.
That's good. In fact, speaking of restaurants, we are getting a Chick-fil-A up in my neighborhood now.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Delicious.
Oh, yeah. I just hope we get a Jack in the
Jack
Box
Box.
up here, too. I think that'd be awesome.
I just got one down here too. It's like a 3-minute drive. I always tell Tony like
nice.
this is the so when I get off late. Like this is the biggest problem that I have. It happened to me back when I was cleaning my very first building. They would just every single time that it was time for a new period, time for a new class, kids would bring in their food and they'd throw it away so they can like go to class. So like there'd be times where like, and we know this, you go to school around the holiday season, so like I'm sitting there throwing out like garbage cans that are full of like turkey and mashed potatoes, and I'm just like, this smells amazing all the time. So now when I drive home, I pass a Krispy Kreme's that barely opens up when I get off. Then I pass a Taco Bell, Del Taco, Rancheritos, and then I have to pass McDonald's and also Jack in the Box.
Oh,
And I'm just like, do you not know how much I just want to pull over and just get food at one of these places every single night? It is a nightmare sometimes.
Oh, yeah, it is, yeah. And I honestly am very glad that these newer restaurants are coming up to northern Utah now for people to at least explore into them. Because, yeah, the cool thing about new restaurants is people would at least give it a try.
Yeah.
But then if they like it, then they come back.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the champ right now for being most busy is probably the new
In-N-Out
on Antelope Drive.
Yeah.
Me, Raj, and our buddy Josh, we went out to eat last week, and we were thinking of going to that In-N-Out, because it was cheap. It was not too far from where Josh lives. There was no parking spots available.
Yeah.
And we were like, holy cow, dude, wow, this is so funny. Then we ended up going out to Outback Steakhouse instead. So
Fun fact, that was a Famous Dave's before it was an In-N-Out.
I love that Famous Dave's.
Yeah.
And they went out
Famous
of
Dave's was
business
good.
like right after COVID was kind of getting under control. They went out of business at that location.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, like, did they just not want to do it anymore, or just not getting enough?
That building was huge.
Mm-hmm.
That building was massive.
So
It was.
coming from someone who, I've worked for a lot of corporations, and a lot of grocery corporations, and so what a lot of these corporate people do is they look at different, even though they're restaurants, they call them stores. They look at their stores or the restaurants, and they see which ones are not bringing in enough money, and they make the executive decision to just close them down.
Mm.
And so I'm assuming that's probably what happened with that one, is because
That could have been it. Yeah.
to be honest with you, whenever I would drive past it, it really wasn't that busy. Like it was just
It was
No.
never
there was like maybe one or two, maybe three cars in the parking lot.
Yeah, and like I said,
Yeah.
that building was huge too.
Oh yeah.
Rent is probably massive.
Yeah, I think I've only been there maybe 2 or 3 times, but every time when I went, I remember the food was really, really good. And then, of course, COVID happened. I bet you COVID was maybe one of the reasons, too.
Mhm.
But yeah, still sad seeing it go, though.
But really, this is awesome that you're so passionate about this. Guys, what do you tell us in the comments? Like, do you want Justin to do a live stream where he cooks on a live session? Make sure you tell us in the comments below, because
Or
Yeah.
also too, like give him some recipes for him to make, and then he'll make them into shorts.
exactly.
I am
Or-
so down.
To add on top of that, give him recipe ideas that he will make on the live that he can then turn it into shorts through various programs.
Very good.
Yeah, guys, literally bring it on. I'm always down for a challenge. like literally put my cooking skills to the test.
Yeah.
Speaking of cooking skills, got a quick story to tell you that before we wrap up this part for our little cool session. So I was invited to a group date, okay?
Ooh.
A couple weeks ago. I had everything planned out. Long story short, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, date fell through. But before it fell through, though, it was like the funniest part of the whole story. So the girl who I was talking to, very great person, She knew I was taking culinary school, okay? And I was telling her, I was like, hey, so-and-so, like, what would you like me to cook? I just go, since we're going to have a picnic, I could maybe make some cool sandwiches. Maybe I could get some chips, or maybe create a homemade raspberry vinaigrette, with a little salad, slice up some strawberries and some berries. And then she literally goes, I'm okay with just a PB&J.
Hey, sometimes you can't beat a PB&J.
I mean, it's true, but like if a guy is like that's
culinary,
that, like whenever I've worked in like grocery stores or whatnot, like when girls find out I know how to cook, like, wait, you know how to cook? Like most of the guys that we talk to don't know how to cook. I'm like, and I always look at them like, I like to cook. Like, it's fun for me. It's
fun.
Coming up with new concoctions on different, you take a piece of chicken, you can turn it into so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
And people are just like, and so, that pineapple glazed barbecue ribs, like when I've brought that up to people before, they're like, that sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's very costly. It's very, very costly.
It is, yeah.
Because you really need to use fresh pineapple, not canned pineapple.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Especially when it comes to recipes, though. Recipes take a lot of time, too, especially being on the costly side. One of my first gigs, I think I told you guys the story. I can't remember if I did or not. I cooked for a high school prom group for one of my very first gigs. They wanted like a something similar, like a chicken Alfredo. But what I did with that chicken Alfredo, I decided to 5-star version it for them, just to like give them a good idea on what it's like taking your date out to a nice dinner, and what we did. So I made the Alfredo really creamy for them, and then how I cooked the chicken, they actually came to the house where we were meeting at while I cooked the meal in the kitchen right over by them, and they smelled it the entire time. They were so excited, because it was either this or going to a very expensive restaurant, fighting off the busy crowd, paying 2 or 3 times more per plate.
That's good.
I made $60 from that gig.
Nice.
And it was so cool. Yeah,
that's way cool.
Yeah, they loved it. They said that they wanted me to cook again for them sometime, and yeah, it was amazing. So just like what these two said, if you guys ever want me to do any cooking challenges, feel free to send me a message on Instagram or on my YouTube channel, Long Story Short.
Well, I think we should do this collaboration again sometime.
I'm down.
What say you, Aaron?
Yeah, of course.
What say ye?
Of course. I'm always here on YouTube.
What say ye for the answer?
I don't ever stop this thing.
All right. Well, guys, honestly, Justin, thanks for having us. This is
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for the invite. And then a message for you two and our listeners. If you guys could help subscribe to the Long Story Short podcast, if I can get past 100 subscribers, I want to have me, Tony, and Aaron do a cook-off for a live video.
Oh, man.
I will lose. I will lose hard.
But the reward is we all get to eat it, so.
That's actually
all right, guys. You heard that challenge.
Pass it on, guys. Pass this on.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, Tony and Aaron. You guys have a wonderful night. Enjoy your holiday, by the way. Thank you for all the brave veterans for serving and fight for our freedoms. Peace out, guys.
Peace.